Hello, everyone, and welcome to the official launch stream for Odysseus 2024. Woo! Applause, applause. My name is Jessica, and I will be hanging out with you guys today as we count down the hour from now until the signups for players for the 3 runs that we're organizing for next summer open. So as we count down to when those signups open, we'll be talking with some of the crew that are hard at work making the long-awaited return of Odysseus possible. We will be learning a bit more about the story, talking about the different character groups that you may be playing in, as well as discussing some of the practical arrangements for players for this Odysseus LARP. So all of this is designed to help you guys get a better feel for the type of experience that Odysseus is going to be and to determine if this is the LARP for you. So please feel free to say hello to us in the YouTube chat. We have some really nice crew members hanging out in there to keep you company. And we also are going to be doing a Q&A later. So please put your questions in the chat because we'll be collecting those and we will be answering them later on in the stream. And it would be nice to have some questions to talk about. So before we get into this, I'm going to do the social media thing. Please like and subscribe us here on this YouTube channel. And if you are interested in joining in as a player or you just want to follow along with the awesomeness, you can also connect with us on Facebook over at the group Odysseus 2024 Interest Group. So, but now it's time to talk more about what Odysseus actually is.
Odysseus is a Finnish-style LARP for 104 players. The LARP is set on the starship Odysseus after the destruction of a human civilization living in a distant star system. 3 runs of the LARP are organized in Helsinki, Finland in June-July 2024. Run 1, June 27th to July the 1st, Run 2, July the 3rd to July the 7th, and Run 3, July the 10th to July 14th. Odysseus is a LARP with pre-written characters, a main storyline that runs heavily on tracks, and a fully immersive setting where we aim to provide as realistic an experience as possible. The runtime is 48 hours, and players are in-game for the entire duration of the game, excluding any personal breaks they need to take.
And welcome back. Once again, a reminder, if you're liking what you're seeing, please give us a like and also subscribe here on YouTube and to also check us out over on Facebook at our Odysseus 2024 Interest Group. But now let's talk about some of the history of Odysseus. And I'm joined tonight by our executive producer, Laura Kroger, who's actually one of the original creators of Odysseus, yeah?
Yes.
Nice. So can you give us a little insight into how the concept of Odysseus was initially born?
Yes, we had the idea at the first time in, I think, 2016 with me and one of the co-producers in 2019 runs, Sanna. We decided that we want to do a LARP about Battlestar Galactica, more specifically on the episode 33. And that's where it all sparked, and it since got quite far. We ended up creating a LARP for a universe of its own and just drawing the inspiration for Battlestar Galactica.
So how did that all pan out in 2019? How was that experience for you?
It was probably the greatest thing I've ever done in my life, and definitely in my 20 years of LARP organizer. And I think that's a sentiment that our entire team of 180 people can echo, as well as many of our players. I think that when we started this journey, we had no idea what we would end up creating, and what we managed to do was quite incredible.
So was it a hard decision to decide to do a rerun, or was it just like, yeah, we got to do this?
It is probably both. It was a hard decision since when we had just finished the previous runs, the sentiment in the entire team was that this is not going to happen ever again. But as the time passed, we had a couple of years time to relax and do other projects. I think that it was something that a lot of us had been thinking, mainly that would be regret more not doing it than maybe doing it. And when we voiced those ideas that maybe we should do it again, it was like the amount of enthusiastic yes was overwhelming. I think it was right then when we knew that it was a really right call to do it.
And we are all profiting. So can you give us, and all these wonderful viewers we have with us here on YouTube, kind of a little insight into where the project is right now? What has been done? What's kind of the upcoming stuff?
We've actually done a lot, like comparing the original runs. At this point, we didn't even have a location. We had talks, but we hadn't confirmed basically anything. We started doing the coding in August, so in 2019 it would have been a couple of weeks ago. But this time around, we've done a lot of like planning to rewriting the LARP. We have secured the location. We have checked through all our codes from the previous runs and tested those. And many of our teams are already in full steam of creating the experience for 2024.
That's so exciting. Are you doing anything different this time?
Yes.
It's going to be the same game.
It's going to be essentially the same game, but it's going to be an improved rerun. So we have been looking a lot of elements and polishing them. Some elements will be exactly the same, but there will be a lot of things that we've decided that once we have a chance, we will do them better.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is super exciting, and we will hear plenty more in a little bit. Thank you, Laura. We're going to move on to a little clip on what is Finnish style LARP.
Finnish-style LARP is a close relative to Nordic LARP, with heavy emphasis on storytelling with a very light rule set. All the defining elements of Finnish-style LARP are visibly present in Odysseus. Finnish LARPs are heavily story-driven. Players co-create the story based on substantial pre-game input from the game masters through extensive pre-written character descriptions. Multiple intertwining plots and dynamics are woven into the characters' backgrounds and agendas, and together they create the story as a whole. Each player receives an in-depth pre-written character that has a unique history, story, plots, and a network of connections. There is some room for adjustments based on player preferences, but the LARPs rely heavily on players respecting and playing the plots they are given. Personal plots and relationships do not have a predetermined outcome, and it's not customary to pre-negotiate scenes, but to let them organically emerge through play. It is, of course, possible and even encouraged to create new connections and relationships in character during the LARP. Finnish LARPs strive to stir strong emotions in the players, to give them an experience of stepping into someone else's shoes and living their life, feeling their losses and joys. Players are encouraged to maximize the drama, cry when their characters are sad, yell when they're mad, and laugh when they're happy. Finnish LARPs rely strongly on players being active and respectful. Players are expected to memorize all the relevant details of their characters and to respect the plot they're given, but to also make their characters their own and bring them to life in a way they feel comfortable with. Secrets and surprises are typical ingredients of Finnish LARPs. Each player's character might have information the other characters do not have. The story is designed to slowly unfold throughout the duration of the LARP, and shocking revelations and mysteries are meant to provide play for the whole duration of the game. In Finnish-style LARP, players immerse themselves in the lives of their characters for the whole duration of the LARP. There are no pauses or acts. No one should be off-game other than in designated off-game areas, or if there is a need to have a quick discussion to set up a scene or to adjust boundaries.
Welcome back again, and I hope you enjoyed those gorgeous photos of the previous runs that we've done with Odysseus. We are here once again still with executive producer Laura Kroger, and we're going to talk about a topic that I know is very near and dear to your heart, Finnish LARP. So what is Finnish LARP, and how does that include? Man, words. I can just use words tonight. Let's see. How does a Finnish LARP impact Odysseus, or how does it connect with it?
When we started to create this LARP, we decided that we want to do an international LARP, but we also wanted to kind of do a LARP what we all accustomed doing. All of our original writers were from Finland and come from a Finnish LARP culture. It is the style we've been LARPing for 20 years, many of us. So it was also kind of our way to create an international LARP with these cultural elements that are close to our heart, that are the ones we've come to love and enjoy, and there are a lot of similar elements to Nordic LARP. So it's not completely isolated from a Nordic LARP style-wise, but I think that there are some elements. I think that in Finnish LARP the characters are usually more heavily written, both in terms of connections and the backgrounds, which tie into the bigger plots and kind of create the story as a whole. So this was also the approach we wanted to take on Odysseus.
So for some of these international players who maybe haven't experienced this style before, do you have any comments on how is it different from other types of LARP that are popular, and maybe how should a new Finnish LARP player prepare themselves for the experience?
Yeah, I remember a quote from the earlier runs, which I found afterwards in one of the players, that they said that I didn't know that the Finnish style LARP is exactly the way I want to LARP. They came from a different kind of LARP culture, and then when they experienced Odysseus, they were like, yes, this is it. This is exactly what I want. So what I would recommend is coming with an open mind and embracing the style of the LARP, maybe not trying to LARP the way you do in different cultures, but also adapt the style of play as we have introduced it in our materials, and then just enjoy it. And it's kind of you need to trust your plots, you need to trust your connections, and it's of course always possible to adjust and make them your own. So it's not like strict boundaries that you need to play it exactly like this, but it's quite important to hold the sentiment of a plot or of a connection, because every player's decisions, if they decide not to play a connection, it will affect more ways than they might realize.
So for you, what do you think is the best thing about Finnish LARP?
For a long time I played Finnish LARPs, and I thought that it is so amazing to get the alibi from the organizers. You get a character, you get the connections, and then you can just immerse on those. I've since then learned to also for creating my own character or creating my own experience, like the experience what I'm having in a LARP. But I think that in deep down, I still like a lot about the fact that I can just trust the organizers, just pick up the character and play it.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Laura. We will have you back on later, but for now, we're going to transition to something else. We're going to be talking about character groups here in a little bit, and then practical info for players further on. But it is about Let's see. Can we get our countdown timer up there? So we have signups for players opening at 8 p.m. Eastern European time, which is, about 43 minutes away. So that's going to be at odysseuslarp.com. And also, while you're surfing on the internet to find us, you should also go over to Facebook and get connected with our Odysseus 2024 interest group over there. And also, leave a little like and subscribe here on YouTube. So, looks like we are ready to go. I'm now joined by two wonderful members of the story team. We have the lead, Ruska Kevetkoski. Oh my gosh. And then a team member, Nona Laisleto. And I'm so sorry if I've butchered your names. My American tongue can only do so much. But yeah, so I've got some questions for you. So just real quickly, can you tell me, were you involved with the story in the previous runs at all?
Yes, we both were.
Yeah.
I wrote, I think, 6 characters originally for the original run. And
Yeah, same for me, only 6 characters.
Oh.
And then I think we both ended up doing a lot of other stuff as well.
Yeah, a lot.
So now it's really interesting to be part of the story team this time also, and to dive headfirst to the other characters also and see their stories.
Yeah, to actually get to read all the other characters
Yeah.
as well.
We've seen the runs and
Seeing what the characters did there during the LARP, but didn't know why.
So with all of the player briefs and just all of the 104 characters or something,
Yes,
that's a lot of work. That's a lot of material. So how are you guys as the team approaching reworking all of that?
It is a crazy amount of material, especially since the characters too are really long. But we have started with the approach that we're gonna start from top down. We're gonna tackle the big issues first. And then as we go along, then we can take in all the details, and then we can go nitpicking about the small details about the characters. But from big to small, that has been the approach.
yeah, and we have an
Amazing team with the story. So a lot of people doing lots of stuff.
Nice. What are some of the things that you guys have been reworking since the last run?
To start,
Where to start? One of the major things is we have looked at the civilian play and how we can improve that.
yeah, especially the political play. That has been something that we have really paid attention to, how to make it as interesting as all other aspects of the LARP.
and
We have also, which a theme we had on the last runs, but now we have enhanced it and kind of made every civilian characters a wartime post. So we will have a third shift. The Odysseus characters have shifts on board, but then we will also have a third shift that is also available before the game starts, so they know if they need to be on shift, the civilian characters that get recruited.
Yeah,
on
and
board.
there are also some details.
So for participants, what should we be looking forward to story-wise in this rerun of Odysseus? Or I guess this new Odysseus in some ways.
A lot of the same stuff as before.
A lot of the same stuff as before, but just in an enhanced form.
yeah, so
Hope is a big theme we have. This destruction of human civilization and what we can do after that. Tragic stories for the characters, personal and bigger themes also for major elements. What's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to me?
Yeah, I think what people can really look forward to is to have the kind of experience that you can see in movies, but to be able to experience it yourself.
Thank you so much for that little bit of insight. And we are going to be we get quite a bit of time with these wonderful folks. So everybody stay put. We're going to take a closer look at the character group, starting with the officers, bridge crew, and pilots.
Officers are in charge of coordinating the work of the bridge crew, making executive decisions, and issuing orders on matters such as when to engage in battle, when to retreat, when to initiate a jump, as well as other issues arising during the LARP. Players of officer characters are expected to do their best to ensure that the game progresses smoothly and to follow the path laid out in front of them. Some officer players may also receive additional meta information in order to create a better LARP experience for everybody. The bridge crew is operating the following 6 posts on the bridge: Navigations Officer, Weapons Officer, Communications Officer, Communications Specialist, Science Officer, and Science Specialist. The bridge crew works in 3 shifts throughout the LARP. A typical shift is 4 hours long, with either 8 hours of sleep or 8 hours off duty between shifts. This gives players time to play out their characters' other relationships and plots. While on shift, characters associated with the bridge will spend their time steering the ship, making plans, communicating with other ships, preparing for and fighting battles, and maneuvering, as well as monitoring different data streams provided by the systems. Pilots fly fighters and engage in space battles and surveillance missions. In most cases, the fighters will engage at few enemy scout ships or will stay close to Odysseus in order to intercept missiles and buy the ship a little bit more time to jump. However, there will also likely be a few bigger battles and some close calls and minor clashes. The pilots may also be tasked with assisting the Marines with internal security, as well as flying the Marines to land missions. The pilots are a tight-knit group into which even newly recruited pilots are expected to integrate, and they have group-centered plots and relationships.
All right, we're back. Please let us know in the chat if any of those pictures are inspiring you. Like, are you getting excited about one of these specific roles? Please let us know. We are going to be talking more about these officers, bridge crew, and pilots with Ruska and Nona from the story team. So would you guys like to maybe give all of us some tips on like who maybe, like what type of personality would be a good fit for, or like play style would be a good fit for perhaps playing an officer?
So officers are the characters who are most in charge of everything. They are the ones who get to make a lot of big decisions. So players who really like to play leader characters, that's a perfect fit for them.
Nice. And then of course we've got our wonderful bridge crew. How about what types of personalities do you think would be a good fit for those?
Those who want to play empty epsilon a lot, and they also have interpersonal drama and relationship drama also, but they are also part of the clockwork routine, so they will be working a lot and then they have off time. So someone who's interested in both of those.
Nice. So then what about pilots? Because they're also going to be doing some of the empty epsilon, but what else are they doing that's different than bridge?
They're also going to be doing some empty epsilon, but they are the ones who get to be like the hero fighter pilots. Yes. They are part of the clockwork as well. All of these 3 character groups are for players who don't mind either having to wake up really early for their shift or having to go to bed really late.
You've used this term clockwork, and can you guys give a little more of an explanation about what that means in a LARP context?
So clockwork LARP is a LARP that needs a lot of elements to align and to work in pretty much like a clockwork works. So you need all the different character groups to do their stuff, to perform their tasks in a timely manner so that the whole ship keeps running and so that the whole plot of the LARP keeps advancing in the sort of time limits that we've given them.
Yeah, so the LARP is 48 hours,
And for all that time, day and night, someone has to be on shift to do their job.
Also, you get to actually like work a shift on a spaceship.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. So what are some things that, from talking with previous players, that you guys have heard about these specific character groups?
So one small detail that we heard is that for bridge crew and pilots, the radio communications between the bridge and the fighters during the battles was an awesome experience and apparently really emotional as well.
Oh, wow.
And I think for the The officers, it's really doing the hard decisions, being in charge of and ordering people around and having to have something on your conscience because you have to do something, have done something terrible in order for you to survive.
Yeah, to
Maybe.
to have the heavy responsibility for very heavy decisions.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk more for a little bit, but we're going to take a look a little bit more at the character groups, one of which is my personal favorite, the engineers, but also the Marines and the medics. So check this out.
The Marines' priority task is to perform land missions, typically surveillance and search and retrieve type operations. There are 3 teams, one of them will be created during the game, who are transported to planets to execute these missions. Each team will have 2 or 3 missions during the LARP. While on the Odysseus, the Marines have 2 major roles. Following the declaration of martial law, they act as internal security and are there to break up fights and make sure that everyone follows orders, which will possibly cause conflicts between the military and the civilians. They are also the first and last line of defense if the enemy should board the ship. The engineers are in charge of fixing everything that inevitably breaks on board Odysseus. It is up to them to do both the emergency repairs as well as day-to-day maintenance, which will make for a hectic schedule. Be it an overheated hyperdrive, a gas leak, broken shield generators, jammed gun controllers, or fried scanners, the engineers will have to be there to save the day. On top of their other tasks, engineers also have a rotating post at the bridge, where one of the on-duty engineers needs to be stationed or reachable by radio should the need arise. Medics will be doing their best to keep everyone fit and operational, patching up those who are injured in fights or during land missions. They will also be performing routine medical checks and taking care of passengers requiring medical attention. There is a lot of medical equipment for our medics to use, and our amazing SFX team will conjure extremely realistic-looking wounds, both suffered in battle or related to other medical conditions. There are also occasional elements of gross body horror.
Oh my goodness, those groups get to have so many cool gadgets. So welcome back, everyone. If you have joined us late, we are doing this launch stream for the Odysseus 2024 runs, and I am here joined with story team member Nonalai Slito and team lead Ruska Kevatkoski. And we're going to talk about these groups. So what types of players do you think would be interested in playing some of these Marines?
So Marines, obviously, they will get to shoot the guns. These are, I think, they're very suited for players who really like to be involved in physical action, in land missions, in defensive battles, perhaps, but also they are responsible for maintaining security on board the Odysseus. So they will probably be involved in clashes between the military and the civilians.
So then what about those engineers? What types of people do you think would be interested in those roles?
Those who want to crawl into tunnels, and those who don't, it's optional, but it's a possibility. If they want to really fix something, if you want to run towards an engine that's about to blow up, and try to fix it before that happens, then that's for you.
Mm-hmm. The engineers are also, they are a pretty tight group, so they get to experience a lot of interesting tensions within that engineering group.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, an exploding engine right there. That's going to be a good bonding experience. So then what about the medics? They also have probably some high tension situations there too.
Yes. And what was it you said?
Yeah. You're going to be on med bay where everyone who's going to be injured is going to be brought, so you get to experience all the drama that's related to those, but there might be cases where there's no one else to fix your loved one but you, and you have to keep your head cool in order to save them.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I think all of these three groups, they are part of the clockwork as well, especially engineers and marines. But they get to experience it from a much more sort of physical way. They actually
very
get
hands-on.
to, yes, run around the ship, fixing the ship and fixing people.
Fixing people and defending people. Well, that's exciting. So once again, like feedback you've heard from previous players, what have people enjoyed about these roles?
I think people who played the engineers really, one of the things that they really enjoyed was that they got to experience that Odysseus was their ship. They got to really know it, how it works, how it doesn't work, how to get it working again, and they get to feel the sort of ownership. This is our ship.
I think for the Marines, it was the tight-knit group that they have. It's sort of their family. Home away from home, the other people, the other Marines, your own group, that you get to experience the land missions and hardships.
Yeah, and for medics, they get to see a lot of drama unfold in the med bay. Also their own drama, but also sort of get to sneak peek on other people's drama.
Wow. Well, thank you guys. Stay put. We're going to talk to you a little bit more in a little bit. So don't forget, you guys out there in the audience, please give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube, and also come hang out with us over on Facebook in the Odysseus 2024 interest group. We are going to be now looking at three more character groups: the scientists, the Velians, and the civilians.
Playing a scientist involves different kinds of puzzles, and sometimes gated progress towards necessary breakthroughs to gain advantages against the enemy. It consists of ongoing research concerning the artifacts from their latest mission, and very time-sensitive solving of puzzles acquired by the Marines during their land missions. Since it is up to the scientists to examine these remnants left behind by their ancestors, they are among the first to uncover the secrets of the past. Central themes of the LARP for the Velians are being a very tight community and being a part of a clear minority with some major shared secrets, as well as trying to fit in with the rest of the crew and figuring out their place in the grand scheme of things. Velians have major cultural differences to the EOC regarding leadership, family, reproduction, and much more. Most of the Velian characters have skills that allow them to directly contribute to the work of some other character group, and as such, the majority of Velian characters are also part of some other character group, for example engineers, medics, scientists, or marines. For a few of the Velians, the main focus of the LARP will be taking part in politics and religion and acting as leaders to the remaining Velians. Civilians aboard the Odysseus come from different backgrounds, varying from politics to religion and entertainment to more shady businesses. During the LARP, all civilian characters who are not already part of one of the character groups to begin with will be assigned to help out in one of the following groups: bridge crew, pilots, engineers, marines, medics, or scientists. It is up to the players to decide if they want to make themselves useful in learning the new skills associated with running a starship, or if they want to focus more on personal plots and other content. For the survivors, the main themes will be survivor's guilt, new beginnings, atonement, and choices on how to proceed in this new world. Political characters also have a large amount of influence. They are in key positions to solve the potential conflicts arising between the civilians and the military, as well as deciding how the human society should be built anew.
Welcome back again, everyone. And how did you like that video about the scientists, the Velians, and the civilians? Please let us know in the chat which one of those you think is the coolest, I guess. And we're back again with story team members Ruska and Nona to talk about our last three player groups. So yeah, let's dig into what types of players do you think would be good fit for scientists?
So scientists are sort of marginally part of the clockwork play. They do have tasks that they need to do in a timely manner for the plot to advance, but they also have a lot more free time. And they get to solve pretty interesting puzzles.
Nice. So people who want to do some puzzles, it sounds like.
People who want to do some puzzles. And they also get to be very close to some of the very large plot elements, sort of be the first people to solve some of the mysteries of the game. So people who are really into that should maybe play scientists.
Gotcha. So then who are these villains and what types of players do you think would be interested in playing those?
So villains, they're a different culture from the EOC, the other people on board of Odysseus. And they are a very tight-knit group with their own customs and habits. And they will get to experience like kind of being an outsider, but with their own good tight-knit group. And they have an option to look from outsider's perspective and to have a chance to change how the future is going to unfold for the human race.
I think villains are very good for people who really want to play with a very tight-knit community.
So then what are citizens and how are they different?
Civilians.
They're civilians. Oh my gosh, I just can't read tonight. I'm sorry.
There are a lot of different kinds of civilian characters. Obviously, if people want to experience spaceship LARP without having to wake up early, being part of the clockwork, the civilian characters are a very good fit for that, especially since all the civilian characters also have the option to make themselves useful, to become part of the clockwork as well.
So we have the politicians, religious people, religious leaders.
The shady characters.
The shady. And maybe those who might want to catch the shady characters.
Yes, those as well.
So they will have, as they don't have a lot of work to do on board of Odysseus or during the LARP, they will have more connections and interpersonal drama and maybe growth or
yes, they are the ones who really get to think about the heavy stuff that is happening, who have time to think about it. And especially for the players who play the high-end politicians, they also have pretty big leadership roles and they get to make some pretty heavy decisions as well.
Okay, just real quickly, any feedback that you've gotten from players on what was really nice about some of these character groups?
I have to lift the character that I played in the first run, who was a journalist, and I love that because I got to go everywhere, be the free press, hear everything, and then write actual news for other people to read, and I get to experience a lot of the story that way.
So your character was the civilian.
It was a civilian journalist.
Oh my gosh, that sounds super cool. Thank you, Ruska and Nonna. We're going to go ahead and transition into talking about more of the practical info. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and do a check-in on our countdown. Reminder for all of you that at 8 p.m. Eastern European Time, the signups for players is going to open over at OdysseusLARP.com. So please get it loaded and ready to go. And also, while you're surfing the internet out there, go ahead and hop over to Facebook and check out our group for the Odysseus 2024 interest group. And then, of course, give us a like and subscribe right here on YouTube. So it looks like we've got about 20 minutes left. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit more of a look at another teaser for Odysseus 2024. Oh my gosh, we got a second teaser trailer, guys. What do you think about it? How's the hype level? Because like mine's like all the way up to here. So please tell us in the chat. Also, please remember to give us your questions if you have any in chat. We've got wonderful crew members there who might be able to answer some, but they're also collecting questions for a Q&A that we're going to do later on in the stream tonight. So yes. Oh, what else? Nope, that's it. We're good. So we are joined now by Paula Pennanen, who is our player communications person and has also been doing some Teams coordinating for us. So welcome.
Hello.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about what your role has been here in Odysseus 2024?
2024, as you said, I've been working as team coordinator, so basically just keeping everybody informed, sending out emails, but also preparing now for the players who are signing up. So getting all the sign-up questionnaires, checking the information we have on the website, and also preparing everything for that.
So we are going to be hearing quite a lot from you here soon, probably.
I have a memo, the others didn't.
Oh my.
So just to not get anything incorrect.
Yeah, and just a quick question, which I don't think I had written down. Sorry, but were you involved with Odysseus the first runs?
Yeah, I was in Odysseus 2019 as player coordinator and also running the player safety crew there.
Oh, okay.
So, but I only jumped in after we had the players. So about at the time we got the players on board. So now I've been with the production since the start. So it's been a bit different.
Got a good amount of time to prepare this time.
Yeah. Everything's planned out, and we can reuse everything.
Nice. Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to with this project?
The players always, and spending my summer next summer in the school.
Oh yes, that's true.
So, but yeah, players mostly, and just the atmosphere of the game. It was amazing.
Nice. All right, and now I'm going to pick your brain about some practical things because that's.
Okay.
I mean, you're wonderful, but that's why we brought you here,
Yeah.
not just because you're great. So there's a lot of information on the Odysseus website. So let's maybe go through some of the most important things that someone that is signing up should know. So there are multiple runs. Can you tell us about that? Like, when are they? Are they different?
The runs. So we have 3 runs. Everything is in English. So no special Finnish runs this time around. So every run is in English. They are played in the summer 2024. And so end of June, beginning of July. The first run runs from Thursday to Monday, but then the other 2 runs go from Wednesday to Sunday. And I'm not going to repeat the dates. They have been on screen for quite a while.
Oh yeah, they're there.
Yeah, but now, so the runs are the same except for the cast, and then of course that makes them different.
All right, so a very important detail for people. What does the schedule look like? When should players arrive? When are they leaving? When does the game actually start? When does it actually end?
Yeah. So we have 4 days. The first day the players should arrive around 6 p.m. So in the afternoon or in the evening. So, and the first day is mostly for getting to know the different tasks that the characters are supposed to know well. So we are going to play some empty epsilons, go around the ship, like different hubs we have there for the engineers and for the civilians, of course, to use. So nothing too heavy there on the workshop-wise, but still you have to be there at 6, so we can get you acquainted with the ship and everything on it. And then on the second day, we have mostly, or the time from like morning to evening before we start the game, there's a lot of workshops and contacting or transfer the players to get to know their co-players and the characters' contacts, and also catching up a bit on the what we're actually playing about. So if you are having a brain fart moment, then we are trying to brief that. And then the game starts on the second day, so that would be a Friday or Thursday, depending on the run. And then it goes for about 48 hours, and then ends on the third day around 6 p.m. depending a bit on the players' choices. And yeah, I don't know. yeah, and that's about it. And then we have an after party and some
Okay, I was
debriefing.
like, are people leaving at this point?
No.
Or is there a little more?
No, we have some debriefing as the previous person said that there's going to be a lot of heavy themes, so we have a debrief, and then there's non-alcoholic after party to just hang around, actually get to know the players themselves and not the characters.
All right, so another very important information. What are the dates we need to remember? Like payment, maybe?
Yeah.
When will we know when we're cast?
Yeah, all the important dates are of course on the website under information and casting price and sign up. So that's where you should check it. And if I say something silly now, then that's the truth. So please go check that one.
The website is
yeah.
the final word.
Yeah, it is. We have been checking that quite often. But the sign up now that begins in some minutes, I guess. That goes on until September 28th. And then after that, we have about a week of chance for the players who have signed up to indicate who they want to play with. And then we announce the player spots on October 9th. And after that, there's a few weeks for casting questionnaires. Casting is announced on November 1st. And then the first installment for the of the payments is on November 15th. So you have a few weeks before, after the casting, to actually get to know the character and check if you actually like it or not.
That's good. Then where is this game going to be played? What are the facilities like?
Yeah, so we are playing in Helsinki in a primary school. So that operates currently. So it's a modern school with all the amenities that a school comes with. And we are going to build a ship there once the school period ends. And so we have toilet facilities, everything you want to know. And I don't know, what should I tell about it? It's a modern building with what you can think in a school is.
Is like sleeping quarters there too, on site or somewhere else?
Yeah, sleeping quarters are on site. So there's a few spots, or some spots are in-game, where especially for the characters who sleep in shifts. And those are mostly bunk beds and some mattresses on the floors. Those are built in classrooms, so they're pretty cramped. But there are, for example, sockets if somebody needs to have a CPAP machine, for example. And then we have also a lot of space for off-game sleeping, also on the same premises, but that's in the gymnasium hall. So that's a big open space with mattresses on the floor, and also some sockets there or power outlets there to allow for machines and charging your phone, everything.
Good. All right, so we are talking with Paolo Pennanen, everyone. I'm going to just do a quick check-in. Yep. Chat, are you awake? And up next, we're going to be talking about schedule and location. But real quick, I'm going to remind you guys to give us a like and subscribe here on this wonderful YouTube channel. And then to also wander over to Facebook and come join our Odysseus 2024 interest group. But yeah, let's talk some more with Paolo here. So schedule and location, I guess I skipped ahead a little bit about how does sleeping work during the game? I guess we've already talked about that. Is it, but one thing to clarify, is it possible to sleep in-game? Like, we've got some groups that are in-game and some that are off-game. Is it possible to choose to sleep off-game?
Yes, it is possible, and depends on the player, of course, like how they want to sleep. And some of the characters, they don't have or only a few characters have an assigned bed that the player chooses. So, and the others are basically sleeping where you can find a spot. And there's of course the possibility to like have other arrangements there as well. But if you need something, but then if there's a player with special needs regarding, or they absolutely cannot sleep in shared rooms, then please contact us and we'll try to figure something out.
Excellent. All right, the other very important thing of food. So how does food work during the game? And if I have like special food things, can I do that there, or?
Yeah, so we are providing full catering for all the players and the team members. The meal times are on the website under practical stuff. I don't remember, it's probably practical.
They're at meal times.
Meal times, yeah, there's the meal times, and we will also publish the menus before the game itself.
Okay.
Not like now, but closer than the game, of course. But the basic meal option is vegetarian and lactose-free, just to cater to most people. But if we, of course, want to provide for all our players and our team members, so we are asking for special diets, and if there's something, a long list of allergens that we need to avoid, then it's always safer to contact us via the email. And if there's absolutely nothing that we can provide you as organizers, then we will organize some fridge space and microwave and everything that you might need.
Wonderful. All right, so I've been hearing that this game does not have breaks. It's just like all in for 48 hours.
Yeah.
But if I need to step away for a moment, like how does that work? Where can I go?
Yeah, of course, we encourage everybody to take a break if one needs that. So there's always a chance for break, and we have a fully staffed off-game room where we'll always have a player safety personnel there, probably myself as well, depending a bit. I'm not the player safety lead this time. So there's always somebody to talk to, or just somebody to hang out, somebody to look at cat videos with, and some snacks there as well. And and there's always the chance to step outside the school building if you want to, via the off-game room as well.
Okay, great. So we've
I'm indoors for the whole like 2 hours.
don't have to really breathe spaceship air for 2 days. So people can step away for a moment if they need that, but how else can people be aware of like player safety, and how does that work for this?
We have mechanics for like calibrating play. Most of it is relying on slow escalation, so that people have the time to actually figure out if they are in for this scene that's being initiated. And there's always the chance to, we have the Finnish thing where you put your fist next to your face and say off game, and then you can have a really brief off game negotiation with the other player to check that everything is all right, and that if you have a crazy scene in mind and if they are on board for that. But yeah, so there's the safety personnel, and of course we encourage everybody to look after themselves during the game.
Nice, that's great to hear. So we've got a good way for players to like talk to each other in the moment, but can you tell us a little bit more about accessibility with this and like potential triggers?
Yep.
There's a lot of info on the website, but there's definitely maybe some things that we want to talk about specifically.
So the specific info on the website is under player experience, under info. So there we have a list of triggers and some like the key information on whether this game is for you or not. And so we please check that out. Of course, the really big trigger warning here is that this is a game about war. So war and violence and everything tied to that is a massive trigger here, and that's something that's pretty much unavoidable for all characters. So there's going to be the theme of the whole experience. But then there's of course like other themes that are depending on the character that you play and the context of that character, and those might include something like suicidal tendencies, substance abuse, and of course there's some character group depending things like medical gore, and then a bit about like discrimination based on character traits, not player traits, of course. So those are some things. We ask about them in the casting questionnaire, so that we can get you a character that everybody is comfortable playing with, and they don't run into triggers that they might, well, things that they might not want to encounter during a game.
Oh, that's great that you take that information right up. If there is like somebody who like thinks all of that is fine, and then they get a character and it's just not quite feeling comfy, like how does the process work for that?
So as I said, we have about 2 weeks before, like when you get the character, or at least the short description of the character and the triggers included. So there's of course like time doing that to reach out to the game runners, and we'll figure out if there's something that we can adjust with the character itself, or if there's another player who in the same run who is not that comfortable with the character, and if they are actually swappable. And so we'll try to figure that out, but that's always like try to or contact the game runners, and so send us an email mostly at that point.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Paula. We've had a lot of information and some good highlights for what maybe to look at on the huge amount of info we have on the website. So thank you for helping us navigate that a little bit. All right, guys. We have about 10 minutes. Oh no, we're really close. Okay, guys, 2 minutes until we are doing this. So I guess we're not going to take a break. All right, so let's see. I guess let me just boop ahead a little bit. So yeah, in these two minutes, before you guys hop back over to OdysseusLARP.com to get your sign up in, take a quick little poke over at Facebook, and please come connect with us at our group, Odysseus 2024 Interest Group, and also give us a little like and subscribe here on this wonderful YouTube channel so you can see what other wonderful updates we have for you in the future. But yeah, oh my gosh, we're so close. Let's see. So how's the hype level in chat? I'm gonna come just take a peek over here in the chat. How are we doing over here? How's hype, guys? We're talking about apple crumble. Great. We've got some hype. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. Have any of you guys, like, which ones of you guys have you played? Were you in the first run? Are you brand new to this experience? How did you hear about Odysseus? Hype is high, hype is real. Yes, choo choo hype train. Pretty high, that's wonderful. But yeah, do we have some Odysseus newbies here hanging out today? Or do we got anybody that's like, oh my gosh, this was so amazing, I'm gonna have to do this again? Harry says, honestly, I want to be sure this awesome LARP is for me. Fair, very fair. Sunama says, I have a friend, as I say it here, who was making Odysseus. Oh, wonderful. Tomio was so hyped that I nearly burnt my food. Oh no, I'm so sorry.
45 seconds.
45 seconds. Oh my gosh, guys. Let's get some lovely hypes here in the chat. Thank you guys for all of the, what are those, likes? Loves are happening. All right, let's see. We're at 30 seconds. We're going to do probably a countdown here. Let's keep the love happening. Keep it going. We got Freya as a newbie. Welcome. Hype is real. We have a hype party with a friend drinking some lemonade and candy nervously. Oh my gosh, welcome. Okay, here we go. We're almost there. Let's do a countdown. Everybody all together. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's open. Everybody go. Sign up right now. All at once. Oh my gosh, we did this. Okay, let's see. I think we talked about most of the things we had thoughts on. Oh yeah, we got another trailer we can look at. Thank you. So let's go ahead and look at this, and we'll be back. All right, signups are now open. Please head over to OdysseusLARP.com to sign up. And also, while you're roaming the internet, please go find us over on Facebook in the Odysseus 2024 Interest Group. And also give us a lovely like and subscribe right here for more cool Odysseus content coming out. So now we are going to be answering those lovely questions that you guys have been putting in chat for us. I think you can still send them in if you have some. It's being live updated by our wonderful chat moderators or question collecting people. So we are joined now by executive producer Laura Kroger and player communications mastermind Paula Pennanen, and we're gonna answer some of your questions. So let's see what we got. Okay, easy question to start: is strobe lighting used heavily, and is it avoidable or predictable if it is?
Not used heavily. There are some flashing lights, especially in like red alerts, and there might be some frequency to those in some situations. There are no flashing lights in sleeping quarters, and there might be some other spaces where there are no clear flashing lights, but no strobo lights, I think.
Okay, great. So to help us get an idea of what to expect with regards to the special effects for the medical gameplay, is there a movie or TV show with a comparable level of blood and guts you could point to?
I think our special effects mastermind, Katalin, answered that in the chat. But mostly what we can point you at is the wonderful pictures and video evidence that we have from the previous run. So not a lot of fake blood, some latex wounds, but nothing too gory, I think.
There might be some things that are entering to the category of body horror with alien worms and stuff like that. But those are elements which you can opt out even as a player of a medic. You can be in game, your character can be like, nope, this is too much for me. And then someone hopefully steps in. Or you can just exit the scene off game if you feel that it's too much for you.
That is really great to hear. Somebody says, I am a terrible study and I don't want to let anyone down. How many words in a character sheet on average, of course, and then maybe also some tips for how do you like approach learning all of that?
I think that in Finnish LARP, you read a story. So your character is a story which you are reading, much like a book. So it's not something that you really need to, like, you don't need to remember any dates or years or that much specific information. You can also have your phone and check if there is some really specific information you need to remember. So it is more like immersing on the story of your character. And I think that the characters are maybe plus minus 10 pages, but the majority of the materials comes from general briefings, which are, it's good to read them, but it's not information that you explicitly need to memorize to do well in the game.
Yeah, there's no quiz.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. It's summer. We don't want to be in school.
We are in a school.
Oh no, I have bad news for you guys. All right, so we got someone that says, I'm open to all the runs, but just checked off the preferred one, hoping that doesn't cut me out of the first if that is the only one left. So does preferred runs equal the games I can attend?
Yes.
Okay, so since they know that they can do all the runs.
But we are doing the lottery separately. We are a little bit checking when we're doing the lottery that we are not kind of overbooking the runs. I think there was another question asking if they get to know the run later on, and that would be also answering yes. So you first know if you get a spot or not, and then you know the specific run when the casting is done. But we take into account for those runs which you can attend for the casting.
So yes, do your preferred runs of all the ones you can make it sounds like.
Yeah, but we will ask them again in the casting. So we are not trying, like, if you forget something or your schedules change, then you can update that in the casting.
Wonderful. Okay, I've got another signing up question. There's a question about prior LARP experience. In the US, any festival game would count for this, but I imagine that you folks might only be thinking about multi-day events?
Nah, just anything you count is just for us to know that we want to have some newbies here or people who are new to LARP. So just to check that if we have somebody who has signed up, then we can check that we have about the same number of or same share of new people in the game when we do the lottery than when we had in the sign-up, so we don't actually skew the numbers here. Okay. So, but we don't check them. It's not a CV.
Yep. So even like if they've just done like a 1 hour, 2 hour little LARP at a con or something.
Okay,
great.
So.
So there you go. So let's see. Are there any intro scenarios or tutorials for Empty Epsilon you'd recommend for beginners to check out while they consider roles that use it extensively? I actually can probably answer this question.
Go ahead.
Since I'm working with Empty Epsilon quite closely up for this LARP. There are definitely stuff all up on the Empty Epsilon website. Oh gosh, I can't remember what it is. If you Google Empty Epsilon, it will be one of the first things that comes up. And it is an open source free game. You can definitely just download it from there. It has executables files for, like it'll run on Windows and Android and maybe Mac. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it comes in with some tutorial things right when you open it up the first time, some scenarios you can play through. Our version is going to be a little bit specialized, but if you want to get familiar with the concept of it, definitely check it out over there.
And we will be creating some tutorial scenarios which you can kind of like later on, closer to the game, to play to get yourself familiar with the role. But in speculating what role would you like to play, or if the Empty Epsilon is something you want to play, then going with the version that's in internet will give you an idea.
Yeah. And as part of the first day briefings, we will have a lot of time or some hours for you to actually get to know the Empty Epsilon version that you're playing, and also the spot you're playing as, and trying to figure out what your space in the clockwork is, so that you are not like running around with, and you're actually supposed to be an expert. So, so there's
a real professional when the game starts.
Okay, we've got a weird tech side question. Oh my gosh. Are you going to update Empty Epsilon since it now uses SDL2, etc., or do you just keep the same fork of it as it was last time? Oh, hey, do you want to come join our production team? Do you want to work with me?
I think this was your...
Yeah, I think it's my child.
Hey, that's exciting. That is still to be determined, but yeah, maybe we can chat later since you live with Laura. Let's see. I didn't quite understand what was being said about the third shift earlier. So, new shift, what is that?
Yes, I can explain this. Last time we had two major shifts, and then we had kind of like a backup shift, which could be taking a role if someone wanted to break in the two main shifts, but this time around we wanted to divide the clockwork play a little bit more evenly. So now we have two main shifts who are populated by the characters who are the original crew of the Odysseus, but since it's a wartime and they need to have three shifts, they will be creating a third shift in game, but that's guided off game, so the officers have the information who will be in that third shift. The third shift has a little bit less playtime in the clockwork, but they are still playing maybe 12 hours in the in the bridge. So that shift, they do not have midnight shifts or like shifts in the middle of the night. So that's for the players who want to experience the clockwork but would want to sleep in a normal sleeping hours. So their earliest shift starts at 8 and their latest shift ends at midnight. The shift information is now also in the website in the practical section.
Yeah, and this third shift is called the twilight shift. Yeah. So we have the original two are lunar and solar, and then twilight is the one that is being added on the first morning, I think.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Can a character die during the active game?
Yes. It is the characters. The dying of a character is a decision from a player. So it is forbidden for other players to kill another character unless it's agreed with the dying character. If you can get wounded really bad, and if you want that your character dies, you can die. There will be some character deaths, some which are pre-planned, so the players know beforehand that their character is going to die during the LARP. We do not have backup characters, so do not kill your characters too early on the game. But if you want to heroically die towards the end of the game, that is very much an option.
Nice. All right. Let's see. questions about the signups. How much information do they need to fill out just for the signup? Like how lengthy is this application?
Because it's a lottery, so we have most of the questions are like tick a box, and so it should be pretty fast to sign up. Of course, please read the website before you sign up, or or if you have been listening to this stream, then you probably know pretty much everything you need. But yeah, it should be pretty quick. The heftier questions are in the casting, but even that is pretty much check a box, and we have only one free text question. Yes. We don't have time for that.
Yeah, I think that in last time around, in a casting questionnaire, we asked a lot of things which we ended up realizing that we really can't facilitate them. When we did the casting, it was quite limited amount of questions which we only ended up using because there was so much information and so many players, so many characters. We did maybe something like 50 hours for the casting in 2019 runs. And we want to make that process for us as easy as possible with giving us enough information to give you a character that you would enjoy playing.
Yeah. And it's also a question about us not asking stuff that we cannot actually promise in a sense. So we are only asking for things that we can actually use to customize your play experience or consider in the casting or in the sign-up as well. So.
Okay. All right. How physically demanding is it to be a Marine in Odysseus? Asking for myself since I am not in all that much shape.
There are some kind of like skill checks involved being a Marine. You might need to run up to the hill, have a battle while you are dragging your wounded comrade towards the shuttle. So there are some elements of physical activity you need to be doing, but those can be adjusted based on the players. And I think that there was a good discussion already in the chat regarding from the Marines of the previous runs that some of the missions are a lot less heavier in a physical side, and then there are the land missions. You are probably around an hour in the location, so that's about the time which you are doing to complete the mission, and then there are some shuttle rides back and forth. So.
Gotcha. Kind of on the same thought process, are there any other kind of character groups and jobs that are maybe more on the physical side, or can pretty much everything be adapted?
The engineers are on the more physical side because they need to fix the ship, and we have the different puzzles located around the ship. But that's, of course, depending, or you can adjust that with the other engineers who are like in the same run and in the same shift with you. And as Nonna said, I think in the previous section, is that you can, like, it varies from crawling into a tunnel to just like walking around the ship and crouching under desks, basically. Okay. But it can be adjusted.
Yeah, it is. It does require some athletics for the engineers as well, but it's not required. You can adjust which tasks you take.
And it's, of course, depending on the ambition level of the engineers. I think we had in the previous runs, we had some competition among the engineers and the different shifts on who leaves the ship in better shape. Oh, and so if you want to leave it like tip-top, then you probably need to run.
Yeah, a lot more running for you.
Nice. Okay. This is a fun question. What is the physical experience for pilots? I haven't seen any pictures of the fighter craft interiors. So, what were they last time? Are we planning anything different?
We are planning and different, but this is still a work in process. But we are aiming on doing it also visually believable. The fighters are going to be built in the gym hall. So it's going to be a separated space with the pilots, hopefully some atmospheric soundscape when the pilots are in the air. And they are going to have headsets, which they are using to communicate with the bridge. And then they have either a computer or hopefully a set of buttons, which they are using to play the empty epsilon to navigate outside the ship and do battles alongside the Odysseus.
Oh, so cool. All right. So we have somebody who has noticed that the casting and assignment of characters is quite early before the actual LARP starts. So how is pre-play for the pre-game connections expected? How is that going to work? If so, how much?
No need
pre-play.
to no pre-play. I'm a heavy fan, or I'm a big fan of like adult LARPs in the sense that you pay the price or sign up, pay the price, and then turn up, and then you get everything handed to you. So you can of course chat with your other players in the same run, contact your contacts and chat with them and see where you are, but there's no pre-play, and there's to some extent we don't encourage you to pre-play just to like not further the plots and the secrets too far before the game itself.
Off-game talk, yes, it is something we encourage. It's not mandatory. It is something that when you get your character, if your contact players are completely, you don't know them beforehand, it might be a good idea to say a few words, calibrate a little bit your expectations, but you have a time to do that also in the location. So it's not mandatory, but it's something that it's definitely possible, and it's something we do encourage for you to do.
All right, we've got some more questions about intensity of like physical experience. So what's a comparable workout or intensity for an average mission for Marines? You walk down the street.
Yeah, probably run into the bus would be. Yeah,
okay.
it's.
But
I
not
think
for a whole hour.
Yeah, not the whole hour, but it's like something that you there is in every land mission there is some walking involved, and in some there is running. There's maybe dragging your injured comrades. There are some fights. You need to be shooting some enemies, and so there is going to be action, not in all missions, but some of them, and it can be calibrated. You can be stay behind a little bit if you don't want to be running that much, and there are adjustments you can do in terms of the physical level of activity in the land missions.
Okay, we got some more questions about food. Is it possible for people to bring their own food? Is it possible, especially for like, to request specific dietary food, snacks, stuff like for celiac?
So the most common, of course, like celiacs and gluten-free, that's probably something that we need to anyway cater to, as there's quite a lot of people with issues regarding gluten and other cereals. And but we have a limited space, of course, in that, like regarding refrigeration and everything like that. So, but if you feel that or when the menus get updated and there's something that the players feel that they don't get enough food with this, then please contact us, and we'll try to figure something out. And then, if needed, then also reserve some space for you in the refrigeration.
Yeah. Please don't bring your entire meals with you, but some snacks and something you want to take between, or if there are some specific diets, then we can cater those.
Yeah, we are having a practical questionnaire. It's not on the website because we haven't yet decided when it is, but it's sometime in the springtime, and they will ask about like different food-related allergies and everything like dietary requirements.
Is there anything like food-wise that people should specifically not bring with them?
Depends on the players. Like if you have a run where somebody is deadly allergic to peanuts, then no peanuts. Yeah. But we will inform you depending, like of course, who we get on board.
Okay. What about alcohol?
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
don't bring it. It's a school building, and you cannot bring alcohol there. Yeah. And you should also not smoke on the premises. There's, I think, about 20 meters that you need to go out from the door, and then you are outside the premises and where you can have a smoke. But no alcohol, not even in your bag. So you are not allowed to bring it. You are not allowed to drink it at the premises. So it's an alcohol-free event.
Okay. Clarifying question about the run allocation. We will know we are in or out in October, but we might not know which of the 3 runs we're in until November 1st.
Of course, if you have signed up, if you have indicated that you can only attend one run, then your spot, of course, likely is in that run, and we will take that into account in the casting. But yeah, so because it's easier to allocate 312 players into 3 sets of 104 instead of like having like 104 to 104. So we have a bit more flexibility in the casting that way.
It's only 2 weeks between those, or a little bit over, maybe 3 weeks. So it gives us a lot more room to give you a character you enjoy playing. So you can indicate which players you want to be in the same runs, also in the co-player preference questionnaire, which we'll send after the sign-up has closed.
Oh, that's really great. So if you're traveling with family for this, it'd be nice if you're both on the same time. Let's see. Are there any plans for a Discord server for those runs, or I guess player-run communication?
So we have decided again for players, mostly because we don't want to do the moderating, to be quite frank with that. We are going to have a Facebook event groups that are closed for the different runs, so you can see who's coming there, but mostly those are for, like, if you have some general questions, then you can share them there, and of course Facebook is unfortunately the most usable platform to have like events. So that's where we're going to have that. And it's also reflecting that we don't have much to, like, players don't need to form contacts by themselves. We hand them over to them. So there's not a lot of like discussions you especially need to have. But
there is. You can have some player conversations in Facebook, but that we feel that it's less intimidating to not be able to take part of those conversations instead of there being tens or hundreds of pages of conversation in Discord, and you feel intimidated to take part at some point.
All right. So where do you keep your stuff? Example, I personally keep it. So for example, I always wear contact lenses for LARPs, but I am blind as a bat, and would I have a locker or something to store glasses in?
Yeah, we don't have lockers, but we provide everybody with a box where you can keep the personal items you want to have with you during the game, and that's like something that's labeled with your character name, and please don't go rummaging around in somebody else's box. And then there's space to have some off-game stuff, so like big luggages go in one space, and then you can have some like smaller bags, leave them for example in the off-game room.
Okay. Kind of related to that, how large of a bag can we take into the space, like actually into game as your character?
As a character?
Not large. The boxes are like this size, so you can have a towel, you can have like your hygiene things, you can have the contact lenses, but you can't have several sets of clothes in the LARP. You can store some larger bags in the off-game area, where if you want to, for example, have several sets of clothes for your character, then you can come off-game to do a quick clothing change.
Okay. The space is crammed, but that's also part of the design, because it's Odysseus, the starship wasn't designed for this big amount of people, so there's also some crammed.
Yeah, most of the characters are in makeshift beds, and the rooms are more crowded than they were supposed to be, so it's also in game.
So if that didn't quite answer your question, please go ahead and clarify it in the chat, because I don't know, that was kind of vague. So. All right, for people working in shifts, could that conflict with the set meal times, and if so, how is that managed?
You can see the meal times and the shift times in the practical section in practical on the website. We have adjusted the meal times from last time around, so the lunch, afternoon snack, and dinner are something that everybody is awake for according to their shift. Of course, you can have a nap. And then there's some, like the breakfast is something that I think Lunar is sleeping through, so they wake up for lunch, and then we have a midnight snack for those who are on shift or waking up for their shift during the night. And
there are some snacks available. If you missed a meal, we will sort it out. Everyone will get food.
Yeah. Food is important.
Yes.
It's a critical element in player safety, so we will keep you fed.
Good. All right, I think we kind of covered this one a bit. So do you need to spend much effort in contacting your relationships beforehand on social media? So not really.
You don't want to.
Yeah, if you don't want to, you don't have to. If that's something you enjoy, yeah, that is something you can do.
All right. I want to be involved in this amazing LARP. Hey, I see you out there. Me too. But thank you. But I don't feel comfortable yet joining as a player. Is it possible to volunteer to help backstage or with setup teardown stuff?
Yes. We are opening the on-site recruitment sometime around the New Year, so might be late this year or early next year, where we'll be looking for builders, cleaners, people help us during the runtime, NPCs. There are a lot of roles. We need a crew around 100 people on the site during the on-site phase. So a lot of people who are already on the team will be part of that phase as well, but we will be needing a lot of other people as well. So keep checking our website. We will announce the on-site recruitment there in our recruitment page.
All right, so, this is a good one. Must I use my legal name for sign up or can I use the name I used socially for many years?
Socially, because we don't need the legal names, and it's actually preferable that you use something that people recognize. So if you never use your legal name, then
we don't need to know that.
No.
All right, is it possible to adjust the information given in the sign up after it's been submitted?
I think we had that
I think yes.
crossed, so yes.
Okay, great. Can medics make up medical jargon and medicine names, or is there a cheat sheet?
Please do.
Yes, there is a cheat sheet. We will provide some related to the plots, but feel free to expand on that.
Be creative.
Are we running out of time?
We are probably running a bit. Okay, let me look really close, see if there's anything that's like super important. Let's see. Okay, so I think the last one is night blindness a thing that would disqualify you from any roles, or that would be make a role tough?
It would be a little bit difficult for Marines. Some of the Marine missions are going to be nighttime in the dark, but I think there are 2 missions that involve that, so it can be also taken into consideration.
It's Finland in summertime, so it's pretty light.
It'll be very light outside at least.
But yeah, it's going to be dim anyway.
Yeah.
But so maybe don't take that into account when signing up and checking for, or in the casting when signing up with the shifts. There's an option to opt out of being awake during the night, so that might be the safest option.
Yeah, and if you have more specific questions, please definitely, I guess, email.
Yeah, and we have already the interest group in Facebook. If there is something we didn't answer here, we can put another thread of questions. There is already one up there, so feel free to put your questions there.
Excellent. Yes, and that's great because we are done answering questions for tonight. Any more you have not here, you have to go one of these other places. So thank you so much, Paula and Laura, for answering these questions for these curious people. And thank all of you for joining us and hanging out with us and getting excited for this wonderful adventure we're all going to go on. So please remember to check out, of course, the Odysseus LARP website for signing up, but also there's tons of good information on there for you. And also over on our Facebook group, the Odysseus 2024 interest group. That's not just for people who are players, it's people who are interested in what we're doing here. And also give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube, so that way you can see what more cool things we're going to put out over here. And I think that's it. So we will see you in 2024. Thank you. Bye.
It's time to leave our home behind, embrace the road with an open mind. Although the journey will be long, together we stand strong. May the wisdom light your way ahead. Explore the world unseen. you.